Way high. Foothills are my ancestral home. Think I'll go there before too long. When I die, don't bury me. Take me down and burn me away. Yes, I know, and I've been told, Spirit gonna carry my soul. Head home. Way high.
Lance Canales.
Good morning. Buenos dias. My name is Eva Vioto. My pronouns are she, her, and I am your Sunday morning religious exploration coordinator. Buenos días, mi nombre es Eva Vioto, mis pronombres son ella, y soy su coordinadora del programa de exploración religiosa. If you have a candle or chalice with you on our online campus, please bring it close as we will be lighting it soon. Our chalice lighting words are entitled A Sturdy Flame and are by Reverend Julianne Lepp, adapted. I'm going to need everyone's voice this morning, and our response is, we light this chalice with hope, encendemos este cáliz con esperanza. Let's try that together. We light this chalice with hope, encendemos este cáliz con esperanza. One more for good measure. We light this chalice with hope, encendemos este cáliz con esperanza. This chalice we now kindle, a sturdy flame we nurture in these difficult times. We light this chalice with hope, encendemos este cáliz con esperanza. We light this chalice with the heart of compassion for a nation divided by politics and strife. We light this chalice with hope, encendemos este cáliz con esperanza. We light this chalice knowing that it will take all of us to repair this world we live in. We light this chalice with hope, encendemos este cáliz con esperanza. May we find rest, compassion, and the love that we need to nurture ourselves and each other. We light this chalice with hope, encendemos este cáliz. May this sturdy light remind us of the people we can be and the difference we can make in the world together. Light this chalice with hope, encendemos este cáliz con esperanza. In that spirit, please light your chalice or candle at home as Tai, Jasmine, and Cynthia kindle the flame in our Alluvial Avenue chalice. Let us rise now as we are willing or able and join in singing Earth is Living, a Great Garden.
Earth is living a great garden, green and lush and growing free. Tree of life and tree of knowledge, place for sweet discovery. Here is home for all earth's creatures, born of land and sky and sea, all created in love's image, all to live in harmony. Show to us again the garden, richly filled with fresh bounty. Gently guide creation's splendor into full maturity. Teach us how to trust each other, how to use our good, our power, how to touch the earth with reverence, and once more we'll eat and fly. Bless the earth, oh bless this biosphere, one creation make us whole, interwoven, all connected, planet-wide and inmost soul. Holy Mother, life bestowing, bid our waste and warfare cease, fill us all with grace o'erflowing, teach us how to live in peace.
I invite us to remain standing as we say together the words of our mission. La misión de la Iglesia Unitaria Universalista de Fresno es amar inclusivamente, crecer espiritualmente, servir con gratitud y trabajar por la justicia. The mission of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno is to love inclusively, grow spiritually, serve gratefully, and work for justice. Please be seated.
I first became involved with the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno at an event. I joined an event for the pagan community, and there I found acceptance, love, and so much diversity. The UU Church of Fresno has shown that they care about the community and people of the world by simply being welcoming. They welcome all kinds of diversity, all kinds of people. As someone that identifies as non-binary, transgender, and Filipino, I'm a person of color. And I'm not always accepted in spaces. I don't always feel safe, but here I do. I can be expressive, I can be myself, and I can know that if I do so, I will be welcomed, I will be loved, and I won't be just tolerated, but celebrated for who I am. We build on the foundation to better work for love and justice by simply standing out and being true to ourselves. The world needs people that will make a strong effort with love, commitment, and fierceness. It's not enough for us to say that we support change. It's not enough for us to be a voice in the world. We need to be strong and courageous and sometimes offensive. Not because we're meaning to offend anyone, but because our voice is so important that there's going to be times people will not welcome it, people will not care, and people will be cruel about our voices. But that value of speaking up is the greatest value that we have to promote love. I have been through some very hard times in my life since I've been at the Unitarian Universalist Church. And during those very hard times when my mother passed away, when I started going through separation, the failure of my marriage, I knew that I had the courage to move forward because I had the community and the people here to support me. Money is an energy, and it helps us move forward with the energy of love that we support, with the energy of change. I give because I know it's going to change and transform and make a difference.
At this time, we're going to sing our kids off to their spirit explorations. Take it away, Lorenzo.
We hold you in our love as you go, as you go. May your heart be at peace as you go. To nurture the spark of your precious life. We hold you in our love as you go.
I invite us to together take in a nice breath, imagining that we are breathing in peace and we're breathing out love. Again, another breath as we breathe in peace and we breathe out love, amor. One more time, dear ones, together we breathe in much needed peace and we breathe out much needed love. As we continue breathing together in this space made sacred by our precious beating hearts, imagine the breath can carry us back over the last week, the last 7 days, a true gift of living. And as we breathe, the question, was there something you appreciate about last week? And on this day, who do you want to hold in your heart with gentleness and caring? Each week with gentleness and caring, we create space to just together hold the sheer complexity of life, the sheer complexity of our life, filled with joys, sorrows, concerns, and gratitude. Some of us stopped at the small table at the entranceway to the church. Others on our online campus texted those to us. A lot is alive among us this morning. Jamie J. is celebrating a joy that Ezra is back at church after a few months. I miss my friend. Ezra, welcome back. Kim celebrates the 8th birthday of Clementine Tulip, saying, "You are a lantern of a person, and I love watching you grow. Love, Mama." And Lisa has 2 celebrations. A huge thank you to John and Anna for making a magical stargazing party happen on Friday. And Lisa also, I had a wonderful time yesterday working on the church grounds while meeting new friends and learning new skills. And there were a lot of people who gathered yesterday for that grounds cleanup. And Jody says, thank you to the 25 folks, ages 5.5 to 86, but the majority of whom were under 50, who gave our landscape a fresh, clean look yesterday. You are awesome. So Lindsay, Jamie, Liv, Sutton, Frank, Connie, Michael, Gib, Jeff, Angelique, Jean, Abraham, Lucy, Luca, David, Tai, Cynthia, Jasmine, Bill, Kay, Laura, Reed, Lillian, Timo, and Lisa. Thank you all. This gives me great joy. Adeline Marchini is celebrating that on this date, 30 years ago, I signed the membership book and became an official member of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno. I came here looking for religious education for my children. I definitely found that, but didn't realize how much I would learn from Unitarian Universalism. I am very happy, says Adeline, and grateful to belong to this community and look forward to many more years of membership. Congratulations, Adeline. Connie Young is feeling gratitude for Jody coordinating that work party. And Ann R. has great sadness in her heart today. She writes, I'm saddened and dismayed by the senseless firing this past week of 25 of my hardworking co-workers that were dedicated, well-qualified civil servants at the Sierra National Forest. These were firefighters, career biologists, and forest rangers, and we lost 3,500 nationwide. I pray that they have the strength and support as they struggle to pay rent and afford food and bills as they search desperately for new jobs. Please keep them in your hearts and minds. Thank you, says Ann R. Angelique holds sorrow in her heart, grieving the loss of a student, Hubert Chu, and grateful that another student, Bethany, is recovering in the hospital. Please drive carefully out there. Keep your eye out for pedestrians. And Eva Vialto also carrying a sorrow. She's mourning the painful loss of my high school coach, teacher, and mentor, Dina Da Silva. Mrs. Da Silva was also like a mother figure. She inspired my college athletic career. She's the reason for my personal training career and health and fitness lifestyle. Thank you, Mrs. Da Silva, for all you did for me. I will always miss you. That from Eva. We also lift up the names of our beloveds, those unable to be with us because of health. We think of Judy P., Andrew L., Armin B., Glenda R., Pat M., and Robin C. Looking beyond the walls of this church community, we have many things to grieve in this country and around the world. We grieve all the war in as diverse places as South Sudan and Ukraine. We grieve the ongoing assault against Palestinians in the occupied West Bank, including displacement, house destruction, and death. We grieve the ongoing assault against sustainable life on this planet due to human-created climate change. And we truly grieve and are aghast at the vile ambush of Ukraine's president while visiting the White House. We lament this country's pivot away from long-standing peace-seeking European allies and towards the despotic regime in Russia. On a more spiritual note, 2 days ago, on Friday night, Muslims around the world began their sacred time of fasting, prayer, and reflection. To all those whose religion is Islam, we wish upon you the blessings of Ramadan, Ramadan Mubarak. We also pause to remember March is Women's History Month. Dear ones, there was a lot this morning, and I know our hearts hold so much more. And so for all of this, we light our candle of community. As our candle burns, our voices join in our call to meditation.
Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Consuélame, 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 oh mi alma. Consuélame, 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 oh mi alma. Speak to me, speak to me, speak to me, oh my soul. Speak to me, speak to me, speak to me, oh my soul. Háblame, 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 oh mi alma. Háblame, 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 oh mi alma. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul.
Our words of prayer or reflection are adapted from the words of the Reverend Scott Taylor. And at the end, if the Spirit moves you and you're comfortable and I say amen, I invite you to say it as well. Let us turn inward in the spirit of prayer and meditation. Spirit of life, fuente de amor, source of human wisdom within. Sometimes the world outside can be so loud, making it hard to hear those voices we once knew so well. Voices that once knew us so well. And so we turn to listen for the echoes of memories that make us whole, the pain of others that reawakens our hearts, and the beauty singing in this wildly generous world. Those voices whispering from deep within are not just calling us home, they are home. We must remember, who we listen to is who we become. What we listen for determines our path. And so, may the stillness and peace we find here together companion us and care for us, ensuring that we never get lost. Que así sea, bendito sea. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen. Amen.
He tells me when to come up here. This is for all the people who are hurting, scared, this is for you, from my heart to yours. I've lost a lot of family, and I know how you guys feel. And this instrument is usually only played in few situations, and most of them are funerals. So to play it in front of you, sometimes it's a bittersweet moment. I was taught by one of my elders, and he was the Tachi chief for 40 years. He adopted me as his son. So, in his honor and his way and his respect, I asked permission of my ancestors, his ancestors, to play for you. Ya chitni mayan hin chipich panat. I'm a kanan yachiman Yokuts kale. I'm a kanan whippling mayan mahantan. Ya whippling mayan angushtan. Ya no hope mayan mahantan. Ya whippling mayan. Ya trohil mayan. Ya angish mayan. Ya chitni mayan hintan.
Our reading this morning comes from poet Joy Harjo, who served as the United States Poet Laureate from 2019 through 2022. Joy Harjo was the first Native American to have that honor. Nuestra lectura esta mañana viene de la poeta Joy Harjo, quien sirvió como poeta laureado de los Estados Unidos del año 2019 hasta 2022. Joy Harjo fue la primera persona americana nativa quien tuvo este honor. Joy Harjo is a member of the Muskogee Creek Nation. In addition to her own books of poetry, Joy Harjo is one of the editors of When the Light of the World Was Subdued, Our Song Came Through, an anthology of Native American poetry featuring more than 160 poets representing almost 100 indigenous nations. Once the World Was Perfect by Joy Harjo. Once the world was perfect, and we were happy in that world. Then we took it for granted. Discontent began, a small rumble in the earthly mind. Then doubt pushed through with its spiked head. And once doubt ruptured the web, all manner of demon thoughts jumped through. We destroyed the world we had been given. For inspiration, for life, each stone of jealousy, each stone of fear, of greed, envy, and hatred put out the light. No one was without a stone in his or her hand. There we were, right back where we had started. We were bumping into each other in the shadows, and now we had no place to live since we didn't know how to live with each other. Then one of the stumbling ones took pity on another and shared a blanket. A spark of kindness made a light. The light made an opening in the darkness. Everyone worked together to make a ladder. A Wind Clan person climbed out first into the next world. Then the other clans, the children of those clans, their children, and their children, all the way through time to now, into this morning light. To you. Here ends our reading.
Let us sing for our world. Let us sing for one another. Let us sing for ourselves. Please rise in body or spirit, our beloved Spirit of Life, Fuente de Amor.
justicia de la vida.
Please be seated. A few months ago, one of our beloved elders of the church pulled me aside after a Sunday service. They asked a question, which they gave me permission to share. They said, at the beginning of every Sunday service, we say that our Alluvial Avenue campus sits on the land of the Yokuts people. Why is it important to do this each week? It feels, I don't know, repetitive. That's a really good question. And I expect that beloved elder isn't the only person wondering about that. A land acknowledgement is a custom that dates back centuries in many indigenous nations and communities. Today, land acknowledgements are used by indigenous and non-indigenous people to recognize the original stewards of the land on which we now live. According to Fresno State, to recognize the land is an expression of gratitude and appreciation and a way of honoring the indigenous people who have been living and working on the land from time immemorial. A land acknowledgement is also a reminder that this land was forcibly taken through brutal colonization, and that colonization of indigenous people continues today. Our Sunday morning land acknowledgement is also a way of honoring the indigenous heritage of members and friends of our own congregation. But for a land acknowledgement to have meaning beyond the symbolic, it requires that, at the very least, we come to know something about the indigenous people whose land and lives were and are colonized. Knowing that the identities of Black, indigenous people of color are under fresh attack from the new administration in Washington, another beloved church elder asked if I'd revisit a sermon from a few years ago that provides a brief introduction to the history of the Yokuts people. This is that revisit. As you can see in green on this map, the Yokuts land stretched from the Sacramento-San Joaquin River Delta in the north to Bakersfield in the south, from the foothills of the Sierras in the east to the Pacific Coastal Range in the west. According to Wallace Smith's Garden of the Sun, his seminal history of the Central Valley, Yokuts translates into English as people and is both singular and plural in form, which means it's absolutely proper to say one Yokuts or several Yokuts. There were between 50 to 60 different Yokuts tribes. It is estimated that prior to the Spanish, then Mexican, then American genocides of the Yokuts, there were about 70,000 Yokuts living in the Central Valley. Our valley has one of the highest population densities in indigenous North America at that time, 700,000. After enduring multiple genocides, 70,000. After enduring multiple genocides, it's estimated there are only about 2,500 Yokuts living today. To talk about the history of the Yokuts, we must begin, well, at the beginning. According to historians Damon B. Akins and William J. Bauer, indigenous people begin their history with creation stories. These stories define a people and a land. Thus, the history of the indigenous people of California begins when creators made the land and people. One such creation story is told by the Tachi Yokuts on their website. It begins, long, long ago, ancient people who took the form of animals formed the land of the Central Valley. Eagle and coyote sat on a spit of land in the vast sea. Turtle swam over to them. Eagle asked the turtle to dive to the bottom of the sea and bring back earth. Turtle gulped as much air as he could, and he dove. He struggled to reach the ocean's floor and managed to grab only a tiny handful of dirt before his breath was gone. And he raced back up to the surface of the ocean. Turtle breached the water and flopped back, gasping on that island with coyote and eagle. But while swimming to the surface, the dirt had washed out of Turtle's hands. Coyote inspected Turtle and nearly gave up hope of finding any dirt when she spied a bit of mud underneath Turtle's fingernail. Eagle and Coyote mixed that dirt with chia seeds to form what became the earth. Then Eagle and Coyote told one group, the Yokuts, you go to that beautiful and bountiful Central Valley. So we don't know exactly when the early Yokuts made the Central Valley their home, but it may have been as many as 15,000 years ago. The early Yokuts lived in a trusted relationship with the land. Writings from the Tatsi Yokuts tribe say the Yokuts depended on the land for food, clothing, and shelter. They were called the seed gatherers because they did no farming at all in the days before the arrival of the Europeans. They made simple clothing out of bark and grass. Their jewelry and headbands were made of seeds and feathers. They weaved beautiful, beautiful baskets from tall grasses growing by the riverbanks. Some of those baskets had the image of rattlesnakes woven into them because rattlesnakes were considered sacred to the Yokuts. This map shows the Central Valley, and the part in purple is the land of the Yokuts in the time before contact with invading Europeans. Wallace Smith writes, the northernmost group of the Yokuts consisted of 10 tribes. The Pitcasi made their home south of the San Joaquin River around Herndon and Sycamore Point, and south over the low-lying plains to where Fresno is now situated. Each of those 50 to 60 tribes was divided into two different groups. Smith notes that every member in the tribe belonged to one or the other of those lodges. Marriage between people of the same group was forbidden. Each had their own hereditary chief. Each group had a jester with duties like that of the medieval court fool. He ridiculed the sacred and jeered at those in authority. Two-spirit people who were non-binary, served as tribal morticians, cremating dead bodies. They played a ceremonial role in the life of the church, of the tribe, and enjoyed certain privileges. The Yokuts lived in several different types of structures. Most common was a building with one giant room which served as a communal space with fireplaces arranged for each family. 10 families usually occupied each common hall. Because of the summer heat, which we know well, a shade porch ran along the entire length of the house. Yokuts villages were built alongside water sources like streams or rivers. Some of the southern tribes thrived along the shores of Tulare Lake, which then covered an astounding 730 square miles. Now it's been drained and it is empty. Smith notes that prior to the arrival of the European colonizers, the Yokuts had an abundance and variety of food. Fish, fowl, gophers, rabbits, lizards, deer, and elk were commonplace. The bow and arrow were primary hunting tools of the Yokuts. The land was lush and green. The water widespread as 3 great rivers flowed through the fertile Central Valley, making salmon plentiful. Imagine catching salmon swimming in the Central Valley. But most of all, the Yokut Central Valley was the land of oak trees and acorns. Acorns were the Yokuts' primary food source. Smith writes that acorns were ground in mortars to provide flour for bread and mush. Aiken and Bauer Jr. declare acorns sustained indigenous life in this valley. They possess a high content of fat and vitamin B6. The high fat allowed people to survive the lean winter months. The Yokuts were known as responsible stewards of the land in so many different ways. The acorn and the oak tree providing just one beautiful example. Aiken and Bauer write, indigenous people built fires underneath oak trees to stunt the growth of weeds and limbs close to the ground. This type of burning made it easier for families to harvest acorns that they had knocked to the ground. Fires also promoted the growth of pliant oak shoots and deer grass, materials the Yokuts women used to make baskets. Fire controlled insects that might blight a year's crop. Burns took care of weevils and worms that feasted on decomposing acorns. Burning also stimulated the growth of food near oak trees. Black morel mushrooms thrive in black oak forests that have been burned. Thus, the Yokuts worked with the land to assure its productivity, practices that were later outlawed by the federal government. Religious rituals also played a very important part in the life of the Yokuts. Group ceremonies often included amazing shamanic displays of spiritual powers. The rattlesnake, as I said before, was sacred to the Yokuts, and their yearly ceremony to protect the villagers from snake bites included shamans dancing with live rattlesnakes, tossing them in the air, catching them, and allowing the snakes to bite them repeatedly. A boy's coming-of-age ritual included the ceremonial use of hallucinogens. And according to several different websites, there was a yearly ritual honoring those who had died during the previous year. And those rituals included the symbolic destruction of pictures of their beloveds and the ritual washing of mourners. Rituals so important. And so for thousands and thousands of years, the Yokuts lived almost entirely in peace. They were not a warring people. They were peace-loving and land-living. But their traditional way of living freely on and with the land began to be altered in shattering ways. Spanish Army deserters from the mission in San Diego were the first Europeans to arrive in the Central Valley in 1770, followed by the Spanish Army trying to find those deserters. The subsequent Spanish colonization of the Central Valley brought disease, kidnapping, enslavement, and death. After Mexico secured control of California in 1822, it was more of the same. The first permanent Mexican home in the San Joaquin Valley was built by Jose Noriega in 1836. From then till 1846, 30 land grants to Mexicans were made in the valley, carving up the Yokuts land. Aikens and Bauer Jr. write that Mexican settlers' colonial policies attempted to separate indigenous people from the land and each other. Livestock destroyed customary food sources. Missionaries believed in liberating indigenous people from their allegedly wild and primitive state. Family separation was commonplace. Disease took the lives of so many and reduced the lifespan of those who survived. Religious leaders assaulted indigenous people's lifeways and punished those who defied their authority with imprisonment, public flogging, and death. Some Yokuts attempted assimilation, others took up armed resistance. The third wave of genocidal colonization brought the Americans. Wallace writes, the 1848 discovery of gold and the growth of coastal cities sent white Americans surging into the San Joaquin Valley. The demand for beef caused a rapid growth of ranching on the valley floor, and the forests were cleared to make pastures. People poured into the valley. The early trails of the indigenous people were replaced with roads. Stagecoaches, in turn, were soon supplanted by railroads, which stimulated wheat growing by being able to carry the wheat crops very easily to the East Coast. By 1882, 100 years after Europeans first stepped foot there, the San Joaquin Valley was a famed land of wheat fields. What was once a vast oak forest was now the wide open valley we know today. The Tachi Yokut tribe writes, California has a tragic history of hostility towards its native people, including unrestrained vigilante groups that hunted indigenous women, children, and men, hunting them like animals. Statehood came in 1850, and the state's first governor, John McDougall, declared, quote, a war of extermination will continue to be waged between the races until the Indian races become extinct, end of quote. Raymond Cootie Jeff, the Santa Rosa Rancheria tribal historian, shares the following 100-year timeline for the extermination of California's indigenous people. 1850, California is granted statehood. 1856, California issues a bounty of 25 cents per indigenous scalp. 1860, California increases the bounty to $5 per indigenous scalp. By 1900, Tulare Lake has been completely drained and a sustainable way of life is destroyed. By 1903, 99% of the Yokuts population have been killed. During this time, no indigenous people could own land. 1921, the federal government creates 123 small indigenous settlements in California. 1944, the United States lets California steal that land from the Yokuts for the sale of $1.25 per acre. And in 1950, after 100 years of statehood, the population of indigenous people in the entire state of California totals 22,000 as compared to 394,000 before the arrival of the Europeans. The rich culture of the Yokuts continues to live on through the remaining Yokuts in the San Joaquin Valley. As I said earlier, it's estimated that 2,500 indigenous Yokuts remain today and are shaping the future of the Yokuts people, including our musical guest, Lance Canales. We also know that the future of the Yokuts people won't come without struggle. Just look at the fierce opposition to the federal government's replacing a racist word in the name of a nearby valley, even though the new word creates an inclusive name, Yokuts Valley. Calling it Yokuts Valley is a land acknowledgement. Fresno County officials refuse to say that name. A land acknowledgement is used by indigenous and non-indigenous people to recognize and honor the original stewards of the land. Yokuts Valley does that, as do these, our words. Our Alluvial Avenue Church campus sits within the traditional homelands of the Yokuts, who are the past, present, and future stewards of this land. Que así sea, bendito sea. May it be so, blessed be, amen.
I don't know whether to smile or cry. I will say this though, it's pretty good timing. It's really good timing actually. March 1st is Yokut New Year. I don't know if you guys know that. It's not in that book you read. And we have a ceremony, March 1st ceremony, and there was a ceremony last night at the Santa Rosa Rancheria. And the man that adopted me, his name is Clarence Adwell, and he went by Kea. The word Kea means beautiful, and his grandmother gave him that name, and we all call him Kea. And he passed away some years ago, but he happened to pass away a couple of days just before March 1st. And we all thought it was his way of saying, you're going to have ceremony with or without me. You're just going to put my casket right there at March 1st ceremony. We're going to do it all at the same time. But I'm thankful that there are people like all of you that continue to remember us and not overlook us. And there are our relatives right now, indigenous people that are scared because people are going and taking them from their homes in our homeland. And we got to remember that too. And I was supposed to play Deportee, but I broke a string on my guitar, and I don't think my elders would want me to do that one. They would have wanted me to do a song on the flute and honoring them and honoring all of you for, like I said, I mean, this is not something that always happens. And every time, I don't go into churches really, unless somebody dies. So when I come in here, it's always emotional because there's the acceptance that we get. And I understand that. And I thank you for existing, for being here, and for your wonderful heart. So from my heart to your heart, I love you all.
Lance, come on back so you can see your appreciation. If today's service touched your heart or stirred your mind in some way, we would love it if you could make a special contribution, either electronically or when the baskets are passed here in the Alluvial Avenue sanctuary. Let us join together in our call for offering words. If not us, then who? If not open hearts, then what? If not now, then when? If not here, then where? If not generously, then how? If not us, then who? Si no somos nosotros, entonces ¿quién? Si no con corazones abiertos, entonces ¿qué? Si no es ahora, entonces ¿cuándo? Si no es aquí, entonces ¿dónde? Si no damos generosamente, entonces ¿cómo? Si no somos nosotros, entonces ¿quién? The morning offering will be gratefully received. May this church continue to be worthy of the many, many different forms of your gifts. Just a little more music for the passing of the baskets. Thanks. Our chalice was kindled by Tai Tai and her beautiful daughters. Together, we extinguish the chalice. Let's join together with Karen and Troy in our chalice extinguishing words.
Extinguimos esta llama, pero no la luz de la verdad, el calor de comunidad o el fuego de nuestro compromiso. Estos los llevaremos en el corazón. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts.
We have just a few reminders. Always wonderful to remind us that Cecily is our coordinator of community life. Cecily's your go-to person if you're new or newish and you want to just figure out how to maneuver through this church community, turning it from a place that you visit to a place where you feel like you belong. Coffee hour will be out in our Oh, we are doing it inside today? Okay, coffee hour will be inside, which means we're going to need help moving probably 2 or 3 more tables in, as well as rearrange the chairs. Also happening today after the service in the foyer is our UUA Common Read. Congregations across the country, Unitarian Universalist congregations across the country, are reading the book Authentic Selves, celebrating trans and non-binary people and their families. It's 4 sessions beginning this afternoon at about 12:15, and you can attend whether you've looked at the book or not. The conversation will be such that you can participate. Thinking ahead 2 weeks, it will be Sunday, March 16th, and that is New Member Sunday as the slide changes. If you are thinking about membership and feel like the time is right, please do talk to Cecily and she can move you into that process, and then we get to celebrate you 2 weeks from now on the 16th of March. Last but not least, we like to welcome folks who are with us for the first, second, or third time. We do it not to embarrass you. We're genuinely glad on this March Sunday you chose to be with us. So if it is your first, second, or third time, would you please rise for just a moment? We won't leave you standing alone for long. So first, second, or third time, welcome, 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 welcome. I invite the rest of the congregation to rise with them for our closing words, and then we're going to rock the house. These closing words come from my father-in-law, the late Reverend Herbert Vedder. It gives me great joy in my heart to share his words with you. May we forever hope in the possibilities of life. May we forever share in the adventure of ideas. May we know peace by not expecting the impossible. May we know joy through helping what is possible come true. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen. Let's sing.
May we have safe passage, safe passage. May we have safe passage on our way. Safe passage on your way, wanderer. Safe passage on your way, searcher. Safe passage on your way, sweet pilgrim. Safe passage on our way. May we have safe passage, safe passage. May we have safe passage on our
Shalom and assalamu alaikum.